Hey everyone, it is the Charming Giraffe, and today we're going to test a new resin. This is by the Epoxy resin store. It's the Super Gloss Clear Epoxy Resin. And this is mixed to a 1-to-1 ratio resin to hardener. These are the two parts. I'm going to use one of the Pixis cups that has the measurements on the side, and I'm just going to mix up 4 ounces of resin. As we have learned in the past, I am not the best at getting it right to the line, so we're gonna do our best. If you go over that 2-ounce line, if you're mixing up 4 ounces, just go a little bit past the 4-ounce line when you pour in the resin. I did pretty good on that. The resin is a little bit harder sometimes because it can be thicker than the hardener, and so it can be harder to judge when to stop pouring. But just do the best you can. Ideally, you do mix it exactly 1-to-1. It's not like pouring paint where you can have that wiggle room. So you do want to get as close as possible. It did come with a very nifty info sheet. I'll show that in a minute. And it said to mix it for 3 to 5 minutes. And then it says to pour it into another container and mix it again. That is pretty common for resin info sheets to say, from all the ones I've tested. I don't do that now. I feel pretty confident in my resin mixing ability. But if you are new to resin, go ahead and do that. That really just makes sure that the resin is thoroughly mixed. If these two parts are not mixed together thoroughly, your resin can have problems curing. So it's just to prevent that. So I'm going to get this mixed up and then we'll get started on the pour. Alright, so I've got the resin mixed up. As promised, I wanted to show the info sheet that the resin came with. It has a lot of really good information. If you want to read this, pause the video here so you have plenty of time. But we're going to go ahead and get started mixing these up. So I only mixed up 4 ounces. And so I'm going to just use 4 colors. I'm not going to necessarily use an ounce of every color. I want to leave a little bit of clear for just in case. But I have these cute little 2-ounce containers here to pour the resin in. I'm just going to do this right on top of my wood board. I think this is a 6 or 8-inch wood board. I'll put all the materials in the description. So if I'm wrong, you'll find the right information there. And then for the colorants, I'm using something new today. I haven't actually used this at all, ever. But I'm using the Liquitex acrylic ink. I did do a little bit of research online, and I believe you can mix these with resin. Another reason why I'm only mixing up such a small amount of resin is anytime you're using something new, you definitely want to just mix up a tiny amount and just put a little bit of your colorant in to see how it reacts. Some things are not meant for resin and can cause the resin to flash cure. So I'm going to just add a few drops. I'm going to go ahead and mix that in now so there's not too much colorant just sitting on the top there, and see what happens. When it flash cures, you'll see that it gets really hot. It might even smoke, and it'll like clump. Like you won't get any like dripping off the stick like I'm getting here. It's a little bit hard to see on an overhead camera, but it is still very fluid, so I'm pretty hopeful. This isn't quite the opacity that I want, so I do want to add a little bit more, but before I do that, I'm going to mix up the other colors and give this time to set and make sure it's still going to be okay. So I think it was about 5 or 6 drops. That's what I'll start with every color. So far pretty impressed. As far as the like smell from the resin, I haven't really noticed any like too harsh. Don't know if this white will create cells like the Alumilite white resin dye makes cells, but we're going to use it and see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and just add 1 drop of this carbon black ink. Typically you don't want to add black. This could be a terrible mistake, but we're going to give it a shot because it will typically take over, but let's see what happens. Yeah, let's just get started. We're doing a beach piece, if I didn't say that before now. So the gold's gonna be our sand, the white for the waves. Yeah, I want the white to get pushed through that turquoise color. So this will go at the top here. I will check the temperature in my apartment, but I want to say it's probably around 80, 75 to 80. So this resin is very, very liquidy. It is very, very well preheated. And I'm not going to do the gold yet. I want to get this moved around and get the waves on, and then do the gold. The gold will kind of be at the end. You can even do the gold the next day, because I don't want it to blend in with the ocean. But I want to do it now. Oh gosh, it's so pretty. We see how you can see like the thicker, where there's like thicker resin here versus like less resin here because I just put it there. Probably a bad idea, but it's okay. We're gonna go with it. How like more see-through it is, how more transparent it is. So with that being said, we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna put a little bit of clear resin, and then the white, and then we're gonna use a heat gun to push it all around and see what kind of craziness we get. Hopefully some amazing oceany cells. All right, so not a ton of cells, which that's okay, but I still love the motion and the movement of the waves. I love spraying it with the 91% isopropyl alcohol to make all these beautiful cells come out. I'm really tempted to do it, but I'm also a little scared to do it. Type in the comments what you would do right now before I make a decision sometime in this video. I think I like it the way it is. I don't want to do it, but I want to do it, but I don't want to do it. So I'm not going to do it. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and lay down a thin layer of this gold, and I'm just going to use my finger to kind of push it up to that ocean line. Make sure your table is level, ideally. Clearly it's not, because you saw it like instantly just start moving to that wave line. We'll have to fix that momentarily. And you can see that turquoise there that I dripped intentionally, but not really thinking ahead of time, through the gold. That's okay, it's not the end of the world. This was just a test, so making some rudimentary mistakes like that is bound to happen. But so far, I would definitely say I like using the resin. It's definitely up there with some really good quality resins, like other ones I've used on the channel in the past. I like mixing these colors with the Liquitex acrylic ink. Those mixed in really well. It didn't flash cure. Granted, we did use tiny amounts, but still a pretty decent overall result. The next thing I'll do is, in the next video you'll see probably posted tomorrow or the following day, is I'm going to use this leftover resin and see how they do in molds. So stay tuned for that project. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. And then I will bring you in for a close-up. Okay, here we are for a close-up. There are still some air bubbles in this piece. It's okay, we will pop them. But look at how this ocean waves came out. There are some tiny, tiny cells in there, which is fine. I just love like how distinct these lines are. And then the sand color, gorgeous. Ignore the blue underneath that. That was user error, not product error. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how this dries. And yeah. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave those in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And do what makes you happy.